Hey everybody, we are joined by Stephanie Wilkinson with Ellison Insurance out of Solon, Iowa. Stephanie, thank you for joining us. Tell
Sure.
us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I have been in the insurance industry probably close to about 28 years. I worked in Iowa City at what was known as AW Weltam Briscoe Insurance. It's now Rely On. And I did most of my career there, but I've been here in Solon since 2013. You know, we sort of handle everything. So we're what we call a full service agency, and we do, home, auto, business insurance, life insurance, health insurance. Some of those ancillary products like life and health and stuff, we just do a little bit of to service our clients. Our primary focus is more your personal insurance, your home auto, and your business.
So what areas do you cover for home
So
insurance specifically?
yeah. So I handle all lines of insurance. We're a full service agency, and I am one of the agents in the office that does have all of my licenses and do all of it. So I do home and auto, business, life, health, Medicare supplements. I mean, we do everything. Um, my focus or the things that I'm better at or that I do the most of is home and auto and business insurance.
Do you write policies for all of Iowa, Iowa City?
Right. Yes. So we're only licensed, and I'm only licensed in the state of Iowa. So I can only write clients in this state. The bulk of my business would be, I would call it the corridor area, Cedar Rapids, Swisher, Solon, North Liberty, Iowa City, and a little bit south. I do have some clients in the Des Moines area, but I would say, Eastern Iowa and the corridor.
My audience is mainly real estate related, so focusing on home insurance, when someone comes to you looking to get an insurance policy, what are they looking at as far as the process and what they need to bring to you?
Sure. Some of that is dependent on if they're a first-time home buyer or whether this is, another home for them. If they're a first-time home buyer, a lot of times they're a little bit more confused and don't know exactly what they need. The main thing would be clearly the address of the home that they're purchasing. The purchase price is helpful. And if they know their closing date or their projected closing date, that is always good. And then who their contact information is, whether it be the real estate agent or the lender information. We tend to work with the lenders more frequently than the real estate agents, but whoever they're comfortable with. But basically then we would take that information, and also their personal information. So like their name, date of birth, social security number. If they're going to take a look at auto, also driver's license number and vehicle information. We take the address and we generally just grab information off of the assessor's website. It's going to give us things like square footage, year built, and that kind of thing. But certainly if there's been updates, so say it's a little bit older home, something built in the 50s, let's say, but they've got a new roof and they have the wiring all redone and all of that, we may ask those questions and they may or may not know those answers. Sometimes that's when they have to go back to either the seller or their real estate agent and ask. But those do impact premium, and so they're important things to know.
When looking at a house, what are some red flags to look out for as far that might affect the risk and their policy?
Yeah, so things that impact the home when you're looking at it would be the age of the roof. We kind of covered that. If there's any existing claims open on it, so we are running into this a little bit with Duratio right now. Where homes have damage and we're trying to get through the sell process, and how's that going to be handled. But also other things to look at: water damage. Has the home had water in the basement before? If so, has it been corrected in that the cause of it? Did a sump pump have to be added, or is it just going to be a repeated problem? Electrical is huge. So if there's knob and tube wiring or fuses, this can stop your process and make you get an electrician to rewire the home. So that is a big one. Yeah, that's about it. And any of the updates that we were talking about, the roof, heating and cooling, any kind of, burglar alarm system could also give some credits. So those are things to look at.
Don't get me started on fuses, those things. So do they really need to rewire everything in order to get coverage?
It kind of depends. So if a lot of times it's just replacing the panel, the electrical panel with circuits. And then that's a much less expensive fix. And a lot of times what can be done. But some insurance companies won't even write the policy till that is done. And so that could stop your sell process if the seller doesn't want to handle that ahead of time. So
I've seen it where we go look at a house that looks really great on the outside, great price, and we're wondering what's wrong with it. And then we get to see that panel and it's the fuses. So we're like, oh, yeah, we're going to think over this one.
yeah, and a lot of times they're super cute too, because they're those older homes that have been, upgraded and fixed up, nice flooring and all of that. And then here you've got this wiring situation to contend with. So, yeah.
But at least it's not knob and tube wiring, right? That one is.
That's when it has to be all done. That's a much bigger deal, and one that we do not see nearly as often. It's mostly a panel, which is a couple $100. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it does create a little bit of a glitch for you.
Can you tell us about the claim process if someone needs to make a claim, and what that would look like for a homeowner?
Absolutely. And it kind of depends on which company you're with. So some companies are going to ask you to call their 800 number and report direct. I generally find clients don't really like that. They come to us as an agent for a reason. They want help and guidance through the process. So we tend to advise our clients to call us first. Let us take that incoming information. There are a few circumstances where they should maybe talk with the claims adjuster right away. Maybe like a fire where we've got something very big and they need money immediately. We might have them report to us and then right away get an adjuster on the phone. But in general, you would call your agent, you would sort of explain what's occurred. The data loss is important. When did that happen? What time of day? And if it's something where there's potential to have continuing damage, so say you've got, hail damage or water leaking through the roof, you need to, as the homeowner, do what's necessary to stop any further damage from occurring. So that might mean, doing some sort of quick tarping or something like that to kind of prevent further damage. That is a responsibility of the homeowner. You can't just sit back and say, I gotta wait. We had a few bad circumstances in the derecho again, where people just didn't know what to do and they did nothing. And that then caused, ensuing long-term damage. So there's that. So you report and then we get it off to the company. Generally within 24 hours, you're contacted by an adjuster who will, take maybe the information again and get a little bit more detail. And then they're going to advise you what's going to happen next. So they would say, you can get an estimate, or maybe they're going to come look at the damage themselves. They may be sending a third-party vendor to come out and take a look or start some repairs. In some instances, they might send out like a service master or something to begin the cleanup process if it's one of those kind of claims. And then a lot of times what happens is you get your estimate from your carrier. And they say, here's your, especially on home, here's your amount of projected actual cash value. So this is where it gets complicated for people. It'll say, here's the actual cash value of the damage. So in other words, this is what we anticipate it to be, but most people have a replacement cost policy. So there is a potential that the cost to repair is going to be greater than what that amount is on their estimate. And then they start worrying, I'm not going to get paid in full for my damage. It's not necessarily the case. It just may be that you need to begin the process of repairing or replacing your items. And then once you're complete and you've got your receipts, you turn those in and you get your reimbursement up to the replacement cost. So sometimes people get a little fearful when they see that estimate and think, oh, I'm not getting paid in full, I'm getting jacked around or something like that. So not always the case. And that's a good time to have an agent, because you can then have that explanation to you and then you understand. So,
right.
And that's about it. Then you get paid, hopefully.
Right. That's the point of having insurance, right?
Yes, that's the whole idea.
Well, so. and I like that you're a local company. That's why I send my clients your way. And that's why I wanted to have you on here and educate the first-time buyers and other realtors.
Well, we appreciate that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that storm though, I know it kept you busy for I'm sure it still is.
Yes, and it is, and we're still dealing with it, and we'll probably still be dealing with it in several months. It's one of those so broad of a claim time, and now we're heading into winter, and so unfortunately, A lot of the damages aren't going to be repaired before winter comes, or I should say completely repaired. They're probably at a place where they're not going to have further damage, but things may not be 100% yet. That is a good point. You do generally have up to 2 years for that kind of repair to be completed before you'd have any problem with your policy. So a lot of times people get nervous about that. You know, it's November's here, my house isn't done, my company's going to cancel me because my roof isn't right. And that's not the case. You have time. And we're aware, you know, that we're short on materials, we're short on labor. And so it's going to take a little while.
Anything else that the audience should know or that I missed to ask?
Oh, one thing I would say, if you're not a first-time home buyer, but you know, maybe this is your second home you're buying and you're selling the other, sometimes having your prior insurance information is helpful, or even if you're just shopping your insurance. So say you're with company A and you're looking at another company, having that declarations page is helpful for that person that's quoting for you, because we can do a comparison. A lot of times we'll find out that you're either underinsured, or not very often overinsured, but sometimes underinsured. And we would say, well, here's what it would be if we match it, but really you need this. And it's a way for us to also make sure that all of the items that you're carrying, maybe you've got some riders like jewelry or, you know, things like that, are also included. And we are doing more of an apples to apples comparison, so that you've got the right information. So that might be something to have if you've already got insurance somewhere. I think that's about it.
Stephanie, I know you're very busy, so let's get back to your day. How do people get a hold of you if they have insurance questions or if they want to quote?
Well, first of all, you can just Google us up, you know, that's how most people find us, I think. So it's Ellison Insurance Agency, and it's spelled Ellison Insurance, and we're in Solon. They can always call and email, and our website, ellisoninsurance.com, is a good way to get on there and look at the faces of the agents that are here in our office, and select a contact us option, and it'll send a email to me, and someone here will get a hold of them and get them what they need.
Great.
Or they can ask you.
Right. Well, I usually refer you to
Yes.
my home buyers, so because again, you're local and you're independent, so
right.
I like that.
That's right. We are an independent agent. That's a good point. So that means we have multiple carriers that we can compare to, and it's not just one company. So looking for the best plan and price for you. So.
Great. Yeah. Stephanie, thank you so much for joining. We'll see you again next time.
Thank you. Take care.